Welcome back to the channel. We're Fandom Fix. I'm Austin, and that's Ty. And today we're going to be talking about some pretty big news about Ahsoka Season 2 and some prequel actors returning. But before we jump into that, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss another video from us about Star Wars, Marvel, and all the nerdom out there. But let's jump in, Ty. So Christian Harloff's podcast recently dropped that we're going to actually be seeing Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman return to Ahsoka Season 2. Now, this is pretty big news because we haven't seen Natalie Portman since the prequels, and Ewan McGregor hasn't been around since Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so there's not a lot of information with these rumors other than the fact that they're returning. Natalie Portman is reported to be closing on a deal with Lucasfilm to return, and she hasn't said that she wanted to return for a very long time. She used to actually say that she was not interested in returning. So this is pretty big news. What do you think of this?
So for her to return, she's either in desperate need of money or the story is good enough to get her to return. So what I'm hoping is it's the latter, but I don't want a Thor Love and Thunder situation where Natalie Portman and her character is tarnished. So I really, really hope, first and foremost, that if they bring her back, they got to do it right, because Natalie Portman's character is amazing. She's one of the best characters in all of Star Wars, in my opinion. She was one of my favorite characters obviously as a young kid. I had a crush on her, like so many of us nerds did back in the day. Yeah. And we're super jealous of Anakin. But, it's one of those things that, you're talking 2 decades that she has not been a part of Star Wars. So to have her back would be really, really cool. Ewan McGregor, having him with Hayden Christensen, anytime that they can be on screen together, it's just magic. So that alone, excluding Natalie Portman, but imagine having her and Hayden and Ewan all on screen together. That to me is just movie magic. That would get some butts in seats or some people watching, Disney Plus. So that really, really excites me. I hope that this rumor is true, and that I hope that means we're getting a lot of flashbacks, because ultimately some of my favorite moments from Ahsoka Season 1 were the flashbacks. Yeah. And obviously Episode 5, where we got a heavy dose of Hayden Christensen, getting him in the Clone Wars with younger Ahsoka. And so that's what I want to see, is them in live action doing some Clone Wars type stuff. Would be really, really fun, man.
Yeah. Dave Filoni's gotten a lot of crap over the years. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people have questioned his ability to make good Star Wars. Even recently we have as well. But the fact of the matter is that he did do Clone Wars all those years with George, and he knows the characters of Obi-Wan, Anakin, Padme, Ahsoka. And to bring them back in live action, he's trying to connect this to Ahsoka's story in some big way. I don't know how. We do know that Hayden Christensen will return as Anakin, as a Force ghost, probably be that father figure with the whole Mortis arc. And so my thoughts is that these flashbacks that we're going to get will be why Ewan McGregor and Natalie Portman are returning. We're probably going to get Clone Wars style flashbacks because how big Episode 5 was and how good the reception was. They want to, copy that again. But also Ahsoka Season 2 is probably going to be the last one before whatever comes next. We don't really know a lot about Star Wars' future. And Ahsoka Season 1 did have low ratings, despite it being pretty good, in my opinion. It just had low ratings because of the state of Star Wars. And so they're trying to get people back. They're trying to get those viewership numbers up. So I really hope that there's a purpose for this. I mean, you shouldn't be shoving so many characters in there that you're taking away from Ahsoka's character, because she obviously is the main character. And you're already juggling Ahsoka, Sabine, Anakin, Baylan, Shin, all these characters. So I'm really curious, is it going to be one episode? Is it going to be multiple? But I do think that this could be probably a flashback with like Hayden and Ewan in their Clone Wars armor and young Ahsoka. And then Padme could be a completely different episode where we're probably getting more of maybe Anakin reflecting on the loss of Padme and what it used to be like with her. Because those flashbacks probably will be Clone Wars era, right? I mean, she dies at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So, I don't know what else they would do with her unless it's some kind of like mystical thing. So what are your thoughts? What kind of scenes do you think we're going to see with these two characters?
I think we could have a flashback scene where maybe, Anakin saw or showed to Ahsoka like how good he had it, and then he let his fear corrupt him. Yeah. So it kind of be like a heart-wrenching, gut punch of like, man, you had Padme, you had this love, and then you let your fear corrupt you, and ultimately you're, just yearning for power. persuade you to go down a dark path. And so, for me, Revenge of the Sith is probably my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time. And I cry every single time I watch that movie. And I always love to play the what if. What if Anakin turned back to the good side and came back to his senses and fought for Padme, and then they had Luke and Leia, but it turned out all good. Obviously we wouldn't get what we got, but as a kid, man, even though I knew what was coming, I still was like, don't do it, every single time. And to just see how much they cared for each other, and then every single time that they show her funeral, and she's got the little engraving that Anakin made for her, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so sad. Every time it's so sad that you see this just so powerful with so much potential just fall to a dark path. So I think if he can rehash some of that feeling of man, I really messed up. Don't make the same mistakes I made. Truly being that teacher again, I think would be really, really cool. But I just hope that they do some things that bring back that nostalgia.
Yeah, I love that thought of just the what if, with this whole kind of Mortis arc mystical thing, Anakin's going to be reliving some of that, of what happened. He is the father figure. Ahsoka's is, connected to the daughter. Balin's probably going to be connected to the son. We're going to get a lot of that kind of otherworldly, world between worlds probably stuff. It would be really interesting if we saw a situation where Anakin saw what would happen if he didn't become Vader, and what happened if Padme didn't die. What if they went with that route and we got some version of, seeing Luke and Leia with their parents? That would be actually really cool. And I know a lot of people have talked about that. So that is a potential. My money is still probably bet on the safe bet of just Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's because that's just such a beloved show. But I'm really excited to see these characters return. I love Ewan McGregor. I love Natalie Portman. Hayden Christensen has grown on me over the years. Obviously, Revenge of the Sith, I thought he was great. People didn't really like him in Attack of the Clones, but seeing him come back, I think it's just a love letter to us fans. And as bad of a state as Star Wars is in, I would still eat this up. I think it's worth doing. I think as long as you have these actors around and they're willing to do it and tell more stories that actually enrich what we know about them, then it's worth it. And I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni can do that because they have proven with these characters they can. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. And honestly, last thing I'll say is Disney knows. They know what puts the butts in the seats. They just sometimes choose to be ignorant to that and try to push their own agendas. And they've seen clearly it's not working out. Star Wars is at an all-time low. It's the lowest of the low of the low that it's ever been.
Yeah.
And so if they want any chance of reviving this is the type of stuff that they're going to have to do consistently for the next decade.
Yeah.
They're going to have to consistently hit some really good projects in order to gain the trust back from the fans.
Yeah, but it's not just bringing these people back. It's actually doing quality projects with them. And that's what I mentioned in the recent Skeleton Crew video that I did with the finale. As that show was great and it was quality, but sadly people weren't watching it because they were tired of Star Wars. But they need to be consistent like that with their legacy characters, with their bigger stories where it's quality. So I hope that's what they do in the future.
Absolutely.
Well, we would love to know what you think out there. Are you excited about these possible actors returning to Star Wars, or do you think it's just a bunch of fan service and not worth watching? So please let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.